The next thing we're going to talk about is how to find the surface area of a triangular prism. A triangular prism looks like this, okay? And it has a geometry net that looks like this, okay? If you'll notice, it has 5 faces. 3 of them are rectangles, 2 of them are triangles. Okay, the reason that this is a prism is because the end is a triangle and the other end is identical as a triangle. Okay, it doesn't come to a point like a pyramid. Okay, so what's important to remember when we find the surface area of a triangular prism is that we want to use the geometry net to help keep us organized, mainly. Okay, but we want to make sure that we get every side and that we don't forget one. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through a problem that involves finding the surface area of a triangular prism. When we look at this, okay, remember we're finding area, okay, so we need to be able to find the area of a rectangle and a triangle, okay, because those are the faces that we have. So I'm going to draw the geometry net here. And that's, like I said, that's just to keep us organized. So the first face that I always find the area of when I do a triangular prism, now you don't have to do it in this order, but this is how I do it, is I find the area of the triangle right in front. Okay? So the formula for a triangle is area equals base times height divided by 2. Okay, so write the formula, now we plug in the numbers. So the base of this triangle is 4, because it's perpendicular to the height that's shown. So this height is 2. So area equals the base of 4 times 2 divided by 2. Okay, then we just solve it. Number of ways you can solve it, but if we take 4 times 2, we get 8. Divide by 2, we get 4. So this triangle is 4 inches squared. Okay, I'm just going to leave this label out so it fits nicer. Okay, so we have 4 inches squared for one triangle, and since the other triangle is identical, we can fill this side in as a 4 too. Okay, now the next part is to find the area of the rectangles. Okay, and when you find the area of the rectangles, it's probably the hardest part because you can only see one of the rectangles, but you have to imagine that there's one on the back side and there's one on the bottom. Okay, so you have 3 rectangles you're finding the area. We're going to do the one that you can see right away. Okay? And one thing that I want to mention before we do that is that each side of the triangle corresponds with one of the sides of the rectangle. Okay, they will always use the same length, and then each side of the triangle will be a width. Okay, so to find the area of a rectangle, I'm going to use the formula area equals length times width. Okay, and if we find the area of this rectangle, 11 is the length, the width is 4, so our area is 44 inches squared. So one of the rectangles is 44. Okay, now we're going to find the bottom. The bottom of it is a rectangle as well. Its length is 11 and its width is 4 again. Okay, remember the length will always be the same for every rectangle. The only difference will be the width, and that will correspond with each side of the triangle. Okay, so in this case, all the sides of the triangle are the same, which means all the rectangles are going to be the same. So I don't even have to find the area of another rectangle, okay, because I've already done it. So each of these sides is going to be 44, because the length and the width don't change on any of the rectangles on the triangle. Okay, the length and the width don't change. So all you have to do, now that we've filled in every face on our geometry net, is add them up. So we are going to get 44 plus 44 is 88, plus 44 is 132. 132 plus 4 is 136 plus 4 is 140. 44, 44, 44, 4, 4. I used them all. Okay? Cross them off as you go. Okay? Probably not at the end like I did, but just make sure that you get every one and you don't count one twice. Okay? So 140, so our surface area equals 140 inches squared because we're finding area. We're not finding volume of the three-dimensional shape. We're finding area, finding surface area. The amount of space that covers the three-dimensional object. Okay, let's try one more. Since triangular prisms can be a little bit tricky, let's try another one. Okay, so this is our next triangular prism. Let's make that look a little nicer. Okay, this is our next triangular prism. Okay, the first thing I want you to notice is that every side of the triangle is different. So we're going to have 3 different areas for each rectangle. Okay, but like I said, I always start with the triangles. That's what I'm going to start with here. Before I do that, I'm going to draw a triangular prisms geometry net. Okay, I would do this every time because it gives you something to just make sure you're staying organized. Okay, and you're going to want to practice it because you're going to have to do it on the scrimmages and games. Okay, so first thing I start with is a triangle. Formula for a triangle is area equals base times height divided by 2. Okay, this is the triangle here. Okay, the base is 6 because it's perpendicular to the height that's shown. So we're going to use 6 times 3 is the height divided by 2. Okay, 6 times 3 is 18, and 18 divided by 2 is 9. So our triangle is 9 in the front, and since this is a prism, the face on the front is the exact same on the back. So this other triangle is 9. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is find the area of the rectangles. Okay, so this rectangle that you can see that I labeled in blue is the formula is length times width. Okay, 10 is the length and the width is right here. Okay. So 10 times 5 is area. Area equals 50 feet squared. So one of these is 50. Okay. The next one, I'm going to do the bottom. Okay, so the bottom lines go here and here. Okay, if I was to draw in those lines to kind of show, let's see if I can do that here. So that would be this bottom piece right here. Okay, the length again, area equals length times width. Area equals 10. The length is always going to be 10 because the length on every side of the rectangle is 10. The width is this bottom piece of this rectangle. You see that you can kind of see it in the back. Okay, that's 6. So area equals 10 times 6 is 60. 60 feet squared. Okay, I'll just keep that out for now. Okay, and then the last one is the back here. Okay, which is this line, which is equal to 10. Okay, it's this section here. If I color that in, okay, I guess you still need that line there. Okay. Okay, but it's that back piece back there. Okay. So the length is 10, so I'm going to have another area equals length times width because it's another rectangle. Length is 10 again, and then the back side is 4. So area equals 10 times 4 is 40. So our last rectangle equals 40. So our last step, then, since we filled in every spot on our geometry knife, is just add them up. So I'm going to do 60 plus 40 is 100, plus 50 is 150. 9 plus 9 is 18. So I'm going to add 18, and I get 168. So my surface area of this triangular prism is 168 feet. So that's my units, my label, squared. So the biggest thing that you have to remember when you're finding the surface area of a triangular prism is that the length is always going to be the same on the rectangles, and the width corresponds with each side of the triangle on the front face. Okay? If you have questions, my suggestion is to rewatch one of the problems that I did. Okay? Hopefully that'll make sense. But we went over two kinds of problems that you're going to see. One where the triangular prism, when the triangle has equal sides, okay, an equilateral triangle, and one where it doesn't have equal sides. And those are just done just a little bit differently. You just have to make sure that you're looking at each side of the face, or each side of the triangle face, okay, and that will help you a lot to finding the surface area of a triangular prism. The last thing I'm going to say is, please draw the geometry net. Okay, the geometry net keeps you organized. Okay, and if you notice, all my work started with the formula, plugged in the numbers, solved the problem. 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 Okay, I know a lot of you don't like to do it, but you need to. Okay, it helps, it keeps you organized, and you're less likely to forget something. Okay, if you have questions, please let me know. Otherwise, share your notes with me when this video concludes.